Good morning from the Adirondack Mountains in New York State. Hello, welcome to Lake Placid for round 4 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. Martin Haven and alongside me, John Morgan, trackside here at one of the most historic ice sliding venues. And John, little hint of snow in the air, bit of winds, the bright blue skies of the week of training have disappeared, but hopefully conditions will be good for today's racing.
Well, it's got a lot warmer, and which is going to be a positive for the four-man bobsled pilots. They're going to be able to have a little more control compared to the temperatures we saw earlier in the week. And you know, the track is just a beast. It's a challenge built for the 2000 Goodwill Games. It's the third different facility, really the fifth different facility built here since the 1932 Olympic Games when they opened bobsledding here on Christmas Day 31. And look at this, Andre Lange still has the record from 2005. And one of the reasons he was perfect up here on the top of the track, the name's Cliffside. There was a Cliffside name over there on the old track, just 100 meters away. Whiteface was the big connection from the 1.5 miles and 32 to the mile part of the track. Now this has got this track's personalities right here. It's called the Devil's Highway, the crossover right here. This crossover is very challenging. Then into Shady 2, there's a Shady 200 yards away. Down in the Labyrinth, three-quarter combination. Saw some crashes here yesterday. Lemon Dean. Now into Benham's Bend. Now watch the way the sled drops here into a chicane. It's not a straightaway, it's a little bend away. Into the hard 4 Gs of force. 17, 18. This is no disco down here either. And now you go uphill. Uphill in this section of the track. You know, you can't make any mistakes even in the last 100 meters, Martin. This track record at the start, this track record at the bottom. This one here's around from the 2003 World Championships.
Yeah, that's a long time that track record has been standing, and Andre Lange and his crew yet to be beaten either at the start or all the way down the track. Francesco Friedrich, unbeaten in the first 4 races of the season in 2-man and 4-man, leads our World Cup standings. He was 4th last time out, crashed in the 2-man training, raced yesterday, and he seems to be okay. Nico Walter and he have won the 3 races so far this season. Nick Cunningham, Stephen Holcomb, the hometown heroes here. Holcomb won the 2-man race yesterday. Looks to be back to form, but look overhead. All week long it has been crystal clear blue skies. Little few flakes of snow this morning, but shouldn't be anything to worry the athletes as they warm up in preparation for the first of 3 4-man races in this North American swing.
John Baines crashed yesterday with Lemon Dean. Looks like he's in good spirits and health. There's looks like that Max Arndt cleaning off his sled.
That's one of the Swiss sleds, so that's Seaman Friedley cleaning things up. There's the lodge down at the bottom of the track.
That's the old finish curve right down there, the old track.
The bridge goes right over the finish area. Max Arndt is the first man off in our start list, the world champion. He was last year's winner, and ironically, in the random draw, the man who goes off second took the silver medal here last year, Alexander Kasyanov. But the man who took bronze, Oskars Melbardis, is not racing. He injured his back in the gym early in the week, and he was not fit to race. Neither of the other 2 Latvian drivers are going in the 4-man either, so there are no Latvian sleds. And John Kibermanis didn't qualify. He crashed in 4-man, didn't get 2 safe trips in 4-man, so he's out. It was always going to be that Zalmans was not going to go in the 4-man, only in the 2. So surprising to not have a Latvian team in the competition. Might be in our broadcast lifetime. We've not seen decades.
Not seen it.
Exactly so. So, little delay to the start of proceedings. One of the 4 running sleds crashed on the way down the mountain, just to remind everybody
that
what
where
a
we
tough
are.
track this is. Exactly.
Yesterday we saw unbelievable competitions, just pictures we almost call violent the way the sleds come at us. And it's, you know, this is a tough track. The athletes know it. But we saw yesterday, if you drive good lines on the bottom part of this track, you will be rewarded.
This is a track that demands a driver's full attention and maximum respect. And Max Arndt is a man who knows how to win here. He will get this competition underway. Just to remind you, both heats will count. If you cross the finish line, whether you're right way up or upside down with all your men on board, you still get a second chance.
He won this event last year, but not without a little pain. He crashed in training. This week he's been free. Okay. The guy who won the World Championships the last 2 years out. won this event last year. I think you could say he's the first guy down, and he is the obvious favorite.
Yep, he's got to have a really good chance here. Well, he hasn't had a win so far this season.
He hasn't been
medal.
he hasn't been up the podium either.
2 silver medals and a bronze. He is looking to try and win it here.
This is where the problems will be, right there in that crossover from 7 to 8. The last part of the Devil's Highway.
Exit 7, exit 12 is the one that's caused so many problems, and he's safely off it into 13, and then Venom's Bend.
And these 4-mans will come a lot straighter than the 2-mans, although there was some straight 2-mans yesterday, including Steve Holcomb when he won the gold medal. He was perfect through that chicane. Now our track record, I don't know if we were going to get even near that, 53.67. We're way off that.
Yep.
We're about
8/10 away.
8/10 away. And
yep.
Christoph Longen did not like the look of that run. You could see how good the Germans are doing just on his expression.
Well, you know, it's funny. I talked to Steve Holcomb yesterday, and I said, you know, did you know that was a winning run in your second heat? He said, no, you never know. You feel that it's good, but you can't empirically feel how good it is. And, you know, Langen's looking at this. He's seeing the tiny little errors that we see as well. But Arndt shoots the chicane well here, and that carries a lot of speed down through the heart.
These 4-mans are big trucks. They're not, the 2-mans are sports cars. They go have a mind of their own. The 4-mans, they go a lot straighter. There's Rennie Spies, the longtime German coach and athlete at the bottom, providing some input.
Well, last year's silver medalist here, Alexander Kazyanov of Russia, with Alexei Pushkarev, Ilva-Hutzin, and Alexei Zaitsev on the back. Brakes. Pierre Lud is the coach, left rear. And of course, like a number of teams, the Russians mourning the loss of Malcolm Lloyd as well. He's a former Russian coach.
That was a very, very tough day for everybody yesterday. Everybody was crying for a number of reasons because of what's happened to the loss of Malcolm Lloyd. Boy, this is a pretty good start.
5:08, good getaway from the Russians. Now, can Kazyanov put himself in amongst the medals? 9th, 6th, and 5th this year. He's really been off the boil.
Yes, but he's been flying in training. And only 200s ahead with the better start time. That's not a good sign for the Russians. Now he's 600s down. So he's already lost to Arndt. And he needs to be perfect down here. That was pretty good. That was no violence there.
Well, in training, temperatures on the ice ranged from -17 on Monday and Tuesday up to about -7 or 8 on Thursday and Wednesday. So today, -2 or 3. It's a very different track.
Boy, to beat Max Arndt, look at Luders. He's not happy with that. To beat Max Arndt by 300s at the top and lose to him by 19 at the bottom, things are not adding up for the Russians.
And again,
especially this guy. He was flying at practice.
The lines weren't bad, and you've got to wonder whether the runners are just in an area where they're not at their best on the current track temperature, and whether those really cold conditions helped. I know the Brits were hoping for much colder weather because their runner choice was excellent for that.
And look at the cohesion getting in, the choreography on ice, we call it, and it's quick and down around that first curve. And now the chicane. This is going to be customary. You're going to see him hit left, but look at the back end. He's skinny across the ice. Tough to get these 4-mans in trouble, but when they do get them in trouble, they have a mind of their own.
Well, when you take that hit on the right going into the chicane, you are in the lap of the gods. Next up, Justin Cripps from Canada. Shuffle round of the brakemen. So Cripps has got Alexander Kopax behind him. Derek Plug moves on to his team, as does Ben Coquell.
Pretty good result yesterday for him.
First part of the season, there was only one Canadian 4-man. Today, there will be 3.
And the third one's an historic one.
Yes, it is.
Well, Cripps and these guys, they should get 13. Minimum 5.
5
flat. I guess I underestimated the power of the Canadian team, the speed. 47.4. Whoa, where did that come from?
Talked to Tom Delahunty last night and said Cripps and Kopax worked really well, and he was surprised at how well they worked in the 2-man, and this 4-man lineup.
These guys I don't think have ever slid together, have they?
They've done some ice house training, lots of dry run training.
But he's already lost the time back, so he's going to be fighting. He's going to be fighting for that second spot over Kazyanov. And let's see how violent his exit here is of 13.
Excellent
Not
speed.
bad.
1200s back.
pretty much like the Russian. He's going to be 20 hundredths back probably here.
84 miles an hour through that chicane.
25 hundredths back. He's losing more time at the bottom part of the track. 24. Yeah, they're a little perplexed there because with that start, that was a rocket start time. He should have been better. He should have bet green numbers at least to Shady. But Cripps, he's done pretty good in the four-man this year. A couple times, I think he was.
Well, as the temperature here has changed a lot, I wonder again whether we're seeing runners that aren't the best for these conditions. That was a very late exit from Cripps.
Curve 3. That's where the first mistake of the day was.
Saw the guys with their heads below the runners.
Look how high he gets down on the heart too. He got a little skid going on the exit of the chicane. But yeah, he hasn't done that good at four-man as I look at the results. 10th, 12th, and 10th.
Yeah.
But that start time is encouraging. Look at that.
Derek Plunk.
They know that start is going to carry them into the World Championships. And here's the story.
Dean crashed yesterday with John Baines in the two-man. They're good to go. Joel Fearon and Andy Matthews on the back of this sled. And these guys were flying in training.
They're also flying here in the first 50 meters. There's some athletes here. The British have got a very athletic program going on. Not only in these push athletes, but the drivers that they over on the Europa Cup. Let's see what they can do. You don't want to hit that push bar with exact precision. Now I have to get in, get down on this little bathtub. Ooh, they're not all in perfect. 5:03, not as good as the Canadians. Start speed, almost a kilometer now.
Little clip against the wall as well for Lamin Dean between 1 and 2.
Lamin crashed yesterday in two-man. Great exit of 3.
Yeah.
But he was flying in practice all week. He was raising some eyebrows.
400s in front of the double four-man world champion Max Arndt. A little late.
Yeah, that little late there in 7-8 cost him a few hundreds, but he's still in second position. Oh, he's late here.
But he somehow holds it on.
You could see in 11 he was late coming on the wrong side of the curve.
That's where they crashed yesterday. Shoots the chicane well. What speeds he got on board? 133 kilometers an hour. Not as much as we saw from the last 3 sleds.
Wow. That is wow. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And the coaches don't like that. And they shouldn't. And I think the sled got away from him. He came down the wrong side of 11-12, and that forced him to go late into 13. And how that sled did not tip over there.
Well, that's where he went yesterday. Exit of 12, the right-hander. He was rolling and just never got back onto the runners through 13. And
here it is. Look, he's coming right to the left side. That's 2. He should have been up on the right a little bit more. And he comes in there late. He's got to steer hard, and wow.
Well, today the wall saved them. It bumped the sled upright.
Yesterday the wall caused them to crash.
Yeah, yesterday with the two-man,
it's okay, Lamin, you're still in the picture here, man.
Yeah, 4th out of 4 sleds so far. Next up, Francesco Friedrich. He won the first 2 four-man races and the first 3 two-man races of the season. Crashed early this week in training.
He's a little wounded.
Well, do you know what? It just might have rung his bell a little, but he had a good race yesterday. Nothing like we've expected, but then he wasn't on a German track for the first time this year.
Yeah, he came out gangbusters, leads the World Cup, first, and 4th in 3 races. In the two-man, he's 3-3, or first, and then yesterday finished like in 7th.
Yep. Right, again, you know, much less experience on North American tracks. Now we're really going to see the mark of the man, is what he can do when he doesn't know the track intimately.
That's pretty good there.
Yeah.
See if he gets the straight here.
Oh, little skid.
Skidding hard. Ooh, he skidded, missed the take on, had to climb to the roof, almost hit the roof. That's one of the highest lines I've seen in the heart in a long time.
The focus on getting into the chicane clean is so intense that you sometimes drift out of it all over the place. And then into 17, that first left-hander into the heart, you just climb up towards the woodwork.
Yeah, that little tap on the right side of our screen, left side of our screen, both sides of the chicane sent him into the heart late, and so he had to steer up, and he hit the lip. I mean, watch this. He goes up and almost hits the roof there. See this? And he taps here. That pushes him way over on this side. So he's coming into the next curve late. Look what happens. He's way up there. Has to come down. Has to go back up. Watch Christoph Long, and he knows. Christoph, it's exactly, he's flipping out just exactly like we just showed the
he has, however, learned not to swear on camera. So Max Arndt, the world champion, leads from last year's runner-up Alexander Kazyanov. Justin Kripps of Canada lies third. 5 down here. A big field of 4-man sleds in mild temperatures here in the Lake Placid track. Is the track already starting to degrade? Simone Battazza of Italy, his best ever World Cup race in 4-man, 5th position here in Lake Placid, I think.
I think he medaled in a 4-man in his home track in Cesana. Ooh, look at the skid there. 5:22, the worst start, 46.1. That's a kilometer down. But this is a wily veteran who knows how to drive. And you will probably not see many mistakes other than his 50-meter start time. But the mistake at the top gives you no chance at the bottom.
Tried a new brakeman in the 2-man sled yesterday in the first heat, and then Francesco Costa took over for heat 2.
He's a veteran.
Yeah. Costa's on the back handles again today. 1:16.1, decent speed, but again, with every sled, the speed has dropped.
Look at that line. Pretty cool.
33.8. His speeds are still sagging.
His father, Joey, competed in the 83 World Championships here in Lake Placid on the other track, 100 meters from this picture right to the left. They could only look on 6,500s down. Well, they were 1,100s down at the start. They have the 6th best start.
I'm not sure it helps that the double 4-man world champion went first. I think he's making everybody else look a little bit behind the 8 ball, but I do wonder what we're going to see. Maybe when we get to somebody like Stephen Holcomb, see what speed he can find in this track.
If there's any speed left.
Well, yeah, he starts 15th.
The cohesion. How many times they do this dry land training or in the push houses. Get out, look at the skid, see that little, get out of the drive lines. If those guys are still moving around, that takes the sled left to right. Speed, friction, all that stuff comes into play.
Seventh of our starters today, Alexei Stulnev from Russia, the 28-year-old, 7th in the last 2 4-man races. Maxim Mokrasov, Maxim Belugin are regulars. Ilfat Sadayev on the back handles, I think, is a brand new brakeman. Look at his eyes wide open at the back of the sled.
Well, see how quickly, look at the speed at the left, look how quickly they're in the sled.
Yep.
That's Pierre Luder's training right there. 5:12 start. It's only 100th off the leader. 6th best start though. He's been driving well. Look how low he is in the sled. Look at his helmet. I mean, he's probably one of the lowest guys in the sled, much like Pierre Luder's used to be.
Listen, Max Arndt leads off a 5:11. A 5:12 is enough to put you in the frame if you could drive your way into contention. 1500s behind at Shady 2. 1:14.8 though, that is the lowest speed we've seen by 2 kilometers.
Yeah, no speed at all, and he is going to lose a lot of time. Look at the line, no, that's as good as anybody.
But offline to the heart.
You know, there's an old thing, he's a little late here.
1:31.1, very low speed there as well.
Ducks his head, doesn't help. 5100s back, Pierre Luder.
So he started 100th behind Arndt and finishes 5100s behind.
So that isn't all just equipment. That's a combination of equipment and drive.
Yep.
And Max Arndt might have the best runners in the world on his sled, or who knows, but when you're that successful, you have a lot of the assets necessary.
Well, 20 corners, 20 opportunities to make a mistake here. This is a high line.
Look at the
Shady.
heads bumping. That's the G-force. Exit of Shady, slingshot effect. How much steering? What's the back end? How much steering he has to do there? Looks like he came out on the wrong side of that pivotal part of the track.
See the athletes bounced around so much here. Next up, Nico Volta, the 25-year-old from Freital near Altenburg. 4th in the World Cup in 4-man last year. He's had 2 wins. His first in Altenburg last year.
Sitting in the sled.
Yeah, and he won the last race in Koenigsegg.
He was leader at the end of the first heat in the 2-man yesterday.
Yep.
And fell to 2nd. This is good.
Hard work now for Christian Poser, Eric Franke, and Marco Hubenbecker on the back, who didn't go in the 2-man race yesterday, I think, for the first time since we've seen he and Nico Valter competing.
First, second, and third in 3 races in the World Cup so far. 5:18 start with him sitting in the sled. That's not bad.
They are horsing that sled off,
That's
aren't they?
not bad. See if he gets through 3 here. Ooh, violent.
Now, he didn't look in any pain yesterday after the 2-man race, so what has he done? Has he wrenched his back or something overnight?
Maybe a hamstring, groin. It's tough for these guys to come out here to do it week after week.
1:15.9 again from a slower start. That's the lower speed, quicker than Stulnev though. And at the moment he's ahead of Batanzo.
Yeah, that's a real hard bang, and there are a lot of runners steering down there, a little uncomfortable on the exit of the chicanes.
Good speed through the chicane though, 1:33.
Christoph Langen, well, he's got a leader in there, but his other German sleds are 5th and 8th. You know, we saw a lot of 1, 2, 3 for the German four-man program in the first 3 World Cups in the year. In fact, only in the last race where Frederick got 4th.
Nothing!
Did we not see German sweeps the first 2 events?
He steps out pretty gingerly, but it could be an ankle, could be his back.
Now watch this, watch the runner tips here at the end of this. Look at that, oh man, that's some violent steering there. That shows he doesn't have well, he won a gold medal already in 4-man this year, so you can't say it. Look at Reddy, he's hang in there, hang in there.
But then he's only been on this track once in his life before. Rico Pedersen had a few more trips to North America. 32-year-old Swiss. Bronze in the last race before Christmas at Koenigsegg in Bavaria.
Hit everything in sight.
Yeah, as he did yesterday in the 2-man race. He
crashed earlier this week in 17-18 in 2-man, one of his first trips down the track. Shook it off, no problem. Swiss bells. And the Swiss, they should get 08.
Oh, Bro van der Zijde at 2, really struggling to get in.
46 flat, not great start speed. Now watch see how many walls he hits, how fast he is.
There's an old bobsled expression, the polite version of it, which is let it fly. And he is the prime exponent of doing as little as he can get away with.
It's not the guy who steers the most that wins, it's the guy who steers the least. Oh, watch out here!
Oh, hard transitions off 7. Look out for 12 then, here we go. Down in the labyrinth, 11, 12. Yikes.
Boy, these guys should get some awards that are riding with him, because none of these rides, he comes down the track are smooth, and he's still got some decent speed.
Still good.
He's flying. He'll be here in the top 5.
Across the line in 6th position.
But he's only
200ths off Francesco Friedrich.
5 from 4th.
Yeah.
But he's a reach. He's 1800ths back. They didn't have a very good start. They had some start speed issues, I think, related to.
Well, listen, that skid through the chicane, that could cost him 2 tenths. We saw that yesterday. So he has got the potential to be in the medals if he tidies just that one thing up.
He should have been up in 3rd or 4th.
I tell you what, I wouldn't take a passenger ride with him.
Watch as he taps
this.
Taps before 7, the airborne. Watch the back end. Watch the back end become airborne. Ooh, he's the first guy that Devil's Highway almost got a hold of today. But here, this isn't really how to do it.
No. Just takes that and it drops him into the ditch going into 17.
You would know.
Causes all sorts of trouble.
Expression in his face from one heat to the next. You don't know how it was good or bad. He has the same expression every time.
Third of our Russian sleds, 28-year-old Nikita Zakharov, multiple Russian luge champion before he converted to bobsled. His best ever World Cup result was here in Lake Placid, December 2013. He finished 10th. I wonder, can he break a top 10 finish here again?
And he finished 10th here in that Lake Placid race, and that qualified 3 Russian sleds for the Olympic Games, bumped the US out.
Yeah.
So he came from the 22nd seed, and
that was a really vital race.
I think they loaded his sled up with Zubkov runners. Yeah. And I think that they said we got to push.
Yeah.
And he qualified. He went from the 22nd seed in the draw and finished 10th and put 3 Russian sleds into the Olympic Games.
They fired him off the top like a catapult on an aircraft carrier. I don't think you'd ever seen the track so fast. Good speed in the exit of Shady, 1:14.1. Let's take a look at the chicane. That's not a bad entrance. Gets sideways though and offline into 17.
I think this is going to be...
Well, he's 8th place at the moment, ahead of Batazzo and Nico Walter. And at the line, 8th, 7th, 10th. Wow, he did lose time from that chicane.
Time on the bottom part of that track.
Yeah.
Boy, to be 3/4 of a second behind and have a better start time than the leader.
Well, when you're untidy in that chicane, we saw it yesterday time and again, a 2-man can lose 0.2 to a 1/4 of a second. A 4-man, you're going to lose much more because the extra weight grinding the runners sideways in the ice really acts like a brake, and they're coming uphill. This is not a visual effect. They crest the rise through that chicane.
And watching a transition, look at the transition. He has to go way high.
Yeah.
There, now he's got to come down. Now he's got to go back up. That's not the fast line.
Yeah. Nikita Zakharov goes to think about it as the top 10 runners are down safely, but not necessarily tidily. Max Arndt, our leader, from last year's runner-up, Alexander Kazyanov. John Jackson, the Royal Marines Commando, 39-year-old British bobsledder, having only his second 4-man race since the Olympic Games. Koenigsee in Bavaria, his first after sitting out all of last year, recovering from injury and surgery. Remember, he had Achilles injury going into the Games.
Yeah, I know about those Achilles injuries.
Yeah. He's got Jonathan Anderson, Ashley Watson, and Judah Simpson as the 4-man crew.
Great to see Jocko back. Didn't compete in the 2-man because he crashed earlier in the week.
Focused on the 4-man instead, 5:19 to get away.
The British continue to have no logos on the front of their sleds. I don't know if there's a ban on that or what. We've tried to help them out. And a Union Jack on there or something.
British bobsledding, the youth qualifying races for the Youth Olympic Games have just been completed in St. Moritz. British women 1, 2, 3 at the end of the 7 races. The men 1, 3, 4. The future is looking very bright for young British bobsledders.
Good quiet lines for Jocko. Just, they aren't fast.
1:14.9 was decent speed, but out of the top 10 at the moment. 1:32.4, quicker than Zakharov.
I think the track
is definitely not holding up well. The very mild temperatures this morning.
There's no way he should be 1 second back.
There's Pete Gunn on the left.
There's no way he should be 1 second back.
No, absolutely.
He should be maybe 50 hundredths back with his ability.
Jacko's shaking his head. It wasn't an untidy run. They just were not finding speed. Talking to Pete earlier on, and they were really hoping for cold weather for the race because the runners were flying in the icy cold conditions during training. But these mild temperatures this morning not helping at all.
Devil's Highway, boy, a lot of action in the sled. Look at the athletes. He gets in there a little too early.
Rough transition. Say hi to Paula, his wife back home, formerly Paula Walker. Next up, Nick Cunningham with Casey Wickline, James Reed and Sam Mitchener on the sled. And an injury sprinting in the gym to his left ankle for Nick Cunningham meant that he had to sit in during training. His left ankle is around twice the size of his right ankle.
And he says the color purple he's never seen all over the ankle. So let's see what he can do here, though. You can see he doesn't have that normal gait.
Nah. And he won't be feeling the speed or...
15, 18 would be good. 9!
9, that's a great
start. 47.3, too. So those boys behind him, this is the second year they've all been sliding together. You know, it's about teamwork. And the team, you know, the guys all have to like each other. They train with each other. They eat, sleep, and drink with each other. They, you know, they have to do everything together, and it all comes forward when they come to the start line.
It's family now, isn't it? You know, it really is. 1:15.2, that's the first 1:15 speed we've seen in about 5 sleds.
Well, this night train sled won the World Championships here in 2009 and 2012, so it knows how to come down this track fast.
1:31.4, that's decent speed. He's in 8th place at the moment off a 4th best start.
Speed's decent, ride not bad, the track's, it's late, 7,300s. He shouldn't be that far back.
No,
he should be
but then he is the 12th
back.
sled down, and I'm sure the track is not giving the speed it did to Max Arndt early on. Everybody wearing little logos, that big G for Goma, Malcolm Lloyd. Missed by everybody. He wasn't just Korea's coach. He wasn't just Canada's coach. Coach for a whole host of other athletes.
Look how high he was there in 13. Then he dives out here. Boy, oh boy. And then watch it. This is the problem. He hits the first person to hit there.
Yeah.
2. That's the second hit. Third hit. He's the first guy to have 3 hits down there. That cost him a lot of time.
Yeah.
Judy Shea there.
Yeah. Writing in all the times on the board.
Yeah,
so the guys
for 25 years.
Yeah. Cody Baskew next up, the 22-year-old from Whitehall, New York, with David Kremen, Nathan Gilslider, who was on the 2-man yesterday, and he was behind Nick Cunningham, and Hakeem Abdul-Sabur at the back on the brakes. He raced with Cody in the 2-man yesterday. First World Cup race of the season in 4-man for Cody. Huge day for the USA yesterday. 3 races, 3 gold medals. Women's skeleton, Annie O'Shea, her first ever win. Men's bobsled, the 2-man won by Steve Holcomb. And the women's bobsled won by Jamie Grubel-Poser. Oh my goodness, Cody.
That was close.
Have you ever done that before in your life? He's been sliding this track since he was 8 years old.
That was not steering.
14 years of sliding down.
Good speed.
And he nearly drops it off too.
Good speed, no time though.
Gain speed is good, 133.3. That's about almost as fast as we saw from Max Arndt. However, in 12th position on the split times, and that is where he's going to end up, just ahead of John Jackson.
The track isn't rewarding anybody. It's the 4-mans are a little heavier. You know, they prepared the track well overnight, but the warmer conditions here makes the track cut up a lot easier with these big 1,350 pounds. This bus coming down the track.
Yeah. In training, no amount of sleds running down the track made any difference to the speed. Today, it's different. High line there, right up by the woodwork, and only just came back onto its runners.
That was close. Here, well,
like Cunningham, clips the left wall coming into the chicane.
He got 2, and then he got 3 hits. So Americans did take advantage of their home track knowledge there.
Yeah. Cody Baskew watching the replays and shaking his head. First 4-man race of the season in anything for Chris Spring. Cameron Stones at 2, Josh Kirkpatrick at 3, and back is wide receiver from the Montreal Alouettes, Sam Giguère, who did a few races before the Sochi Games for Canada. Massive figure of Giguère on the back of the sled. This is a first-time start for this crew.
Pretty good.
5.07, that is a great getaway. Wow, the Canadians are really firing on all those.
Sam Giguère used to be with the team a couple of years ago at the Sochi Games. Took off last year. He's an athlete.
Cripps 5 flat. Chris Spring, first start with his team, 5.07.
Springer was good at the top part of the track yesterday. 2-man didn't hold it. There he was a little late. The exit of 8.
1:14.5, a kilometre an hour down on Cody Baskew, who just preceded him. Top 10 spot at the moment, though, for Chris Spring.
Hard hit in the second part of the chicane.
He hasn't raced a 4-man since last season. He's driven taxi bob rides in Calgary, but that...
the brake that came up too quick.
Got his head up. He's lost track of where they were. I hope he didn't pull the brakes on.
I don't know. I didn't hear him.
Didn't see it.
Didn't hear it. I don't think he did, but he still came up. That's worth a couple hundreds, but you know, give him credit. He hasn't been down much. Probably only had 2 4-man trips.
Yeah. 4th place, 12th place for Spring.
See what they say to him.
Well, yeah, they did, I beg your pardon. Yeah, I mean, Spring won't know. I guess Josh Kirkpatrick in front will have probably felt Giguère's head move and body move.
This is up top at the Devil's Highway. Boy, this sled was violently off the ice. Down here in the finish, there's the head up. He thinks it's a finish line. There's the finish line for skeleton, the blue line, and then the finish line for bobsleds up around this curve. I don't think he put the brakes on, but his head's up. Here comes
yesterday's 2-man winner, Stephen Holcomb. four-man world champion in 2009 and 2012, and the 2010 Olympic four-man champion. Ooh,
reset.
Okay, here we go. Too much noise in the huddle. Had to reset. You don't see that too often at the top of the track, but everybody is keen for Holcomb to get a great start. 5:10, he does.
Well, this night train sled medal. Sochi, it won like 4 World Cups previous to Sochi, and he dominated the World Cup season even with 1 crash in Wittenberg, Germany. But he had not medaled, but since the Sochi Olympics till yesterday.
Nice smooth transition.
22 months.
Ooh, the speed's
Way off
not
the
there.
pace.
1:14.8.
He's had some problems with runners. He said in Konigsee he drove great, but he just had no time.
10th place on the splits. Good chicane will really help. He's up to 9th. This is speed from Holcomb. 1:33 is good.
Yesterday he was a master on the bottom part of the track, finding time. See if he can do it here.
This is inside the top 10 at the line. Holcomb is 9th, and that's
considering from that 15th start.
Yep, that is a good run.
He's only out of 7th. He's 20 hundredths. He's got a reach here.
Yeah, but he was 7th fastest starter, and
he
only
just wants
9th at the bottom.
He wants to put himself up in the top 10 in points. This week, the next 2 four-man races next week, so as he goes into Innsbruck, he'll be in the first seed.
Yeah.
That's what he's fighting. Remember, he started the season sitting in the sled.
Yeah, he did.
And this is where yesterday he just was on master control of the bottom part of the track. He was magical. And, you know, obviously, yesterday he proved to everybody he could still drive.
Well, next up, history in the making. And how many times has Kaylee Humphries been the person for whom that has been the case? Max Arndt is our leader. Kaylee Humphries and her crew are making history. Not the first woman to drive a 4-seater sled, but the first woman to start with an all-female crew. Kaylee Humphries, Cynthia Apaya, Genevieve Thibault, and Melissa Lottholtz.
History.
Coach Tom Delahunty watching them blast off at the top. In and down. That is their 3rd four-man load ever in an actual sled on ice.
So I think she took 2 four-man, maybe 3 four-man
She took 2 practice trips in the four-man.
And this is the old sled they rebuilt that Chris Springen crashed in Altenburg a few years ago.
And this is the Phoenix.
It's a Eurotech sled. Dinner with Van Norman last night, who built it.
1:14.1, that's good speed. Good lines from Kaylee Humphries.
Yeah, well, you know, this is one of the best drivers. If it was all equal, she'd be right up.
Look at that chicane. All right, she didn't quite have the speed off Benham's Bend that some of the others might have, but she's got really good lines at the bottom.
Ooh, little tap there. It's going to hurt her. Through and down. History. You just saw history being made.
Flat. Yeah.
Right there.
The first all-woman crew on World Cup. And Kaylee Humphries.
I got pictures of a women's four-man crew that won. I can't say they won the national championships in '39 here, but I've got a bunch of pictures from the women's four-man crew that competed here way back. Catherine Dewey. And she won the men's championship in 1939 with the 3-man crew. And the next year they disqualified women from competing with the men. A guy named Avery Brundage. That's another whole story. Look at that line. That's as good as anybody.
He's shot the chicane as well as Max Arndt. Better.
Little ponytail going up the back of the sled.
Yeah. History has been made. She and Alana Myers-Taylor became the first women to drive in a four-man World Cup race, and now the first all-female crew. Third yesterday in the two-man race, a hugely emotional day for the Koreans who traveled to Lake Placid only to arrive and find that they had lost their coach and mentor, Malcolm Lloyd, whose picture is on the front of their sled.
Very emotional day yesterday for these Koreans.
Well, for everybody in the sport, it's been a hugely emotional week. Malcolm wasn't just a team coach, he was everybody's coach and friend and advisor and mentor.
And the two-man, everybody was hoping for him to win it. finished with the bronze, which is spectacular. It was, wow. Interviewing Holcomb after the race, when Holcomb won, Holcomb was crying. Interviewing Young, he was emotional, had a big picture up. So I love you, Gomer.
Well, and his brakeman wasn't on the podium. He had to go and get shots. He was having pain-killing injections while Yunjun Won was trying to control his emotions on the podium. That's how much they tried for Gomer yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see. Ooh, he was high. I have not seen too many emotional days of bobsledding like I saw yesterday. That was in a long time. Great reception, Lake Placid through for Gomer. The attendance by all the athletes, Bob, Ed Skelton, Wednesday night. Great words from the coaches, great words from the Olympic Authority administrators, Tony Carlino, the track manager. There was a lot of adult tears in that room that night.
Yes, they were. There have been a few more in various bar rooms around town as well, as everybody
can't believe
remembers their friend. Exactly.
Look. Not bad. I mean, they're still aspiring four-man athletes. Two-man, boy, he's becoming so good at two-man. He's up near the roof there, but he's coming so good at two-man. He's got the second or third best starts, knows how to drive.
He's going to win soon. Sooner rather than later, that's for sure.
I bet he put some odds down. I bet you he's a 10-to-1 shot to win the gold in his home track in Korea, 2018. But here's the leaders. Max Arndt, first man down the track, took advantage of it, didn't have the best start, only had the 10th best start, but he's won on this track before, last year. He's the world champion in 2013 and 15, and Max Arndt, he wants to try and challenge to get up on top of the leaderboard of the World Cup standings, and after this race, he might be the leader.
But he will go last on a track that is giving up its speed, and he only has a 1900ths of a second advantage. It is not done yet for Max Arndt. You can give that away with one poor steer. Here is how they sit. Arndt 1900ths against last year's runner-up Kazyanov. Justin Cripps in the medals. Lamin Dean 1300ths outside. And Francesco Frigic, you can't count him out of medal contention either. Rico Pater, who knows? Maybe he pulled off another big surprise. Stephen Holcomb in 10th place, in 9th place rather, ahead of a two-way tie for 10th, Nico Walter and Nick Cunningham. And then down towards the tail of the field, Yoon Jung-won, John Jackson and Kaylee Humphries. We will go last to fast in our second deciding heat. Stay with us here in Lake Placid. When we come back, sleds on ice at 10:30.